I'd like to call to order a special meeting and a public hearing in the City Council of the City of Perry, March 21st, 2022 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Wines. Marshall. White. Brown. Here. Dilbeck. Here. Vaughn.
Here.
Cold Iron.
Here.
Stroller.
Here. I do declare a quorum, apparently. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct a public hearing on the application of the City of Perry's application for funds to purchase a new fire truck pursuant to FY22 Cdbg Community Revitalization Programs. So it's the public hearing to hear from the public about us purchasing this fire truck. Chief, you got anything you want to say? No, the other chief. You stay safe.
If anyone has any questions, council, I can address any questions you may have to the best of my abilities.
Hearing none, you go sit down.
I didn't see anybody in the audience, so I didn't know if anyone available for questions.
What about Fireman Duke? You got anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
Does it matter how long we leave it open?
No. I think you could probably read the rest of that paragraph.
You mean to read the background saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
the rest of it, I
Okay,
think so.
the background saying, the City of Perry is in the process of applying for a community development block grant through the Oklahoma Department of Commerce for a new fire truck to replace the current truck, which is 29 years old and need of repairs. According to the National Fire Department standard, fire engines older than 25 years should be replaced. The project will benefit low to moderate income citizens. The grant request will be approximately $300,000. The project not likely to result in a displacement or relocation of any citizens. The city will match the amount of the grant, approximately $306,966.21. Authorization will be given to the mayor to sign the Cdbg application in the city council's meeting following this meeting by the approval of the resolution. The City of Perry will provide technical assistance to groups representing persons in low and moderate income that may request assistance in developing proposals. The level and the type of assistance to be provided is at the discretion of the City of Perry and does not necessarily include providing funding to such groups which is stated in the citizen participation plan to be provided during the city council meeting which follows. If the project is funded, the public will be notified of the completion of the project by conducting a public hearing at the closing out of the grant. The public hearing will be to invite citizens for input on the project according to the citizens participation plan. To apply for a FY22 Cdbg Community Revitalization Grant, the city must hold a public hearing to receive comments. Notice of this public hearing was properly posted and all persons may appear and comment. Any comments?
Well, up
From the
here it
public.
says Community Development Block Grant, and down here it says Community Revitalization Grant. Did you know why that is?
Well, it is a community development block grant. It might be a subpart of CDBG's program.
I think they have several different
They have
grants that they
different
provide
categories.
under their umbrella, right?
Yeah, one is water, wastewater, and this one is under that category. But that's a good question.
Well, it says it's applying for a community, and then down here it says to apply for that, and I just thought,
Yeah.
then certainly.
Yeah, it's a subpart, yeah, of that grant.
Okay, hearing no comments from the public, we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Brown.
Yes.
Dilbeck. Yes. Vaughn.
Yes.
Cold Iron.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Thank you, council.
No, we can't start this one, Nick, though, right?
We have to wait.
Well, which one?
All right, let's call to order the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority, March 21st, 2022 at 6:15. Roll call, please.
Wines. Marshall. Here. White. Brown.
Here.
Dilbeck. Here. Bond.
Here.
Cold Iron.
Here.
Streller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. This evening's invocation will be by Gloria. And Gloria, if you don't mind, would you remember Jamie's mother-in-law? She passed away.
Okay. Father, we're just so thankful for the rain that we're receiving. So thankful that it will nourish our land, which was so much needed. We thank you, Lord, for your many blessings to the city of Perry. We thank you, Lord, for the council members that are giving their time to serve in this capacity. Lord, we pray especially for Jamie Wines and her family tonight, that you will just comfort her by the power of the Holy Spirit. Just be with her family and let them know your presence is there. Father, we just ask for the remainder of this meeting that you will give us wisdom. Father, that you will help us to make decisions for the good of all people. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Item 1 is the consent agenda. One item.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Marshall.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Cold Iron.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you. Item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the PMA agenda. Hearing none. Item 5, proclamation, combination reports and inquiries by the governing body. Item 6, consider approval of the budget amendments to the Perry Municipal Authority's fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Sir?
You guys have in front of you a copy of the budget amendments for February. These, we'll talk about the general fund under the city here in just a minute, but on the PMA side, there is a decrease in our projected fund balance. The majority of that is because we need to make a transfer over to the airport authority, the airport piece, just so that we have enough funds in there to make all the payments. Once the reimbursements come back from the FAA, then we'll send the money back around. So it's really just kind of a timing issue, but in order to make everything work and make sure all the drawdowns, until the drawdowns get paid, we do want to make sure there's funds in that account. Both of them really run under PMA. We just keep a separate fund for the utility piece and a separate fund for the airport. So that's really the biggest decrease as far as that goes. The rest of the expenditures are really pieces that you guys have already approved on council agendas. There's nothing in here that we haven't talked about at council before.
Any questions, members? We have a motion to approve the budget amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Marshall.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Cold Iron.
Yeah.
Streller.
Yes. Any new business that needs to come before the authority this evening? Item 8, motion on the adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Marshall.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Cold Iron.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to call over the regular meeting of the City Council, City of Perry, March 21st, 2022 at 6:19. Roll call, please.
Wines. Marshall. Here. White. Brown.
Here.
Dilbeck.
Here.
Bond.
Here.
Cold Iron.
Here.
Streller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. Item number 1 is the consent agenda. There's one item there for approval.
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilbeck,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller,
Yes. Thank you. Item number 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items that's on the city agenda. Hearing none. Item 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Item 6, city manager's report, monthly project update.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to draw your attention to the revised city manager monthly report, a little bit longer than normal, and it's once a month instead of every time we meet. Tyson's done a great job of changing this format a little bit. You'll see some metrics in there, and it will increase as we go along as well. Asphalt zippers in. Had training last Wednesday on how to run that. Street folks were very happy with the results. They're excited about getting around to using that new piece of machinery. We had the second event of Perry Recycles. We had 17 guests come. And we're about to finish completing 5 of those large super sacks. So just in two events, so we're excited about that. Brian, you have something that I'd like you to say?
Oh, right, no, okay, I'm with you.
Wake up.
Sorry, no energy drink tonight, so. Just kind of an update for some of the big commercial projects that are going on in town. I'm sure you guys have been out driving around as excited as we are about some of it. Simple Simons got their red iron up and completed last week. They're starting to wrap tin. So they are looking like they very well may hit their project start or end date of, they said the middle of April, probably getting closer to the end of April. The old Sonic building is coming down, and from what I understand, there's some talk about something going on there. I don't, bunch of balls up in the air there. Loves, we have a, how would you classify that?
Pre-construction.
Pre-construction meeting with them scheduled Wednesday out at Subsite. I'm really excited to get out and meet these contractors. They're equally excited to get something going here in Perry. They promised to buy me lunch if I would be easy on them. Tell them that as long as it's not over $600 lunch, I'd accept. No, I'm kidding. I think that's it. Like I said, you know, it's a good time to be in Perry. There's a lot of stuff moving, so you guys should be happy about that.
What's the update on the Dollar Tree thing?
Oh, the Dollar Tree, yeah. So I found out kind of where there's been some issues in there. They have built, they said 2 of these in Oklahoma. And so they are working out all of the kinks still. Right now, you can tell there's locates on some of the properties. Some they forgot to call in. So they're getting that all figured out because one was occupied up until not that long ago. We've got the building plan review is currently underway. Paul with OMMS is completing that. We're just waiting to issue demolition permits, and as soon as we get that plan review back, everything should be good to go.
Cool.
Thank you, Brian. That's it, Mayor. Any questions? Okay.
Number 7, Chief Financial Officer, his report.
Just a couple of things to hit as far as financials go. We do have budget amendments, as you already approved part of these, so when you're looking at the percentage of budget, you're going to see that we're probably high in a few of those. The budget amendments will take care of cleaning up all of those, all of the pieces that are capital outlay, one-time charges, and extra pieces that we have related to that.
Where should we be at on percentages?
66%, 67%, if you're looking at percentage on the budget for this year. A couple of big things, you know, related to sales tax, guys. The February sales and use tax deposit was over $300,000, which is phenomenal. You know, I mean, we just have to write home about that. And the deposit that came in March, was down a little bit, 186,000 on sales tax and still another 60 on use tax for the same period. So, we're good, and you'll see it in the budget amendments. We're going to increase sales tax revenues by about $59,000 through the month of January's numbers. So, nothing to complain about as far as that goes. On the hotel motel tax, we're back down to that $11,000 number. We really need that number to be over 18,000, just so that we can meet all of our commitments as far as that goes. But all in all, nothing really to complain about from that standpoint. I'm really excited with where we are from an operational standpoint. We're ahead of the game as far as expenses go in a totality piece. That does include the fact that we made a big purchase of, and it's on the amendments, but we'll talk about it here in a second. In the general government, we've got the purchase of the downtown property in there, and that's what the big number is that's kicking us over. You guys have already approved it again, nothing that you didn't know about, but when you look at those numbers, you're gonna say, whoa, that's at 100% of what we're supposed to spend for the year. That's the big reason behind that. There's also a couple of other grant purchases from the Malzahn grant money. 2 of the trucks showed up in there with their beds, so there's another $100,000 in that piece. So whenever it all plays out, we're going to be looking like we're in pretty good shape. As far as the municipal authority goes, our electric revenues, we're still sitting at 81%. We've continued on a high electric number piece for the year, which is nice. But that's part of the reason that our expenses are also over, almost 10%, because we're sitting there with wholesale electric costs that are coming in. The rest of the utility pieces are in line and really what we would expect. So I don't have anything too exciting. We did, just on a side note, we did have a meeting today with OMPA and with a potential new electric customer, and we've got talked about what wholesale rates are, what we pay as far as wholesale rates, and where those numbers go, and how we can pass what we can pass on and how we can't pass it on. We've kind of had to have the discussion that our largest consumer of electricity here in town, that really equates to about 30% of our total billing. Their electric rate is running, that almost 10 cents a kilowatt hour, and we really can't put any better rates out there, than what we're giving our largest customers. So, yeah, it was a good discussion. The interesting part of it came from OMPA, because OMPA was here, and their part of the discussion, that they brought up was, this whole industry, these high usage pieces, whether it be the marijuana grow facilities, or whether it be the Bitcoin or digital coin mining, whatever you want to say. I'm gonna call it crypto, but crypto mining or or the marijuana grow facilities. They were talking about how these are huge, high consuming pieces. And OMPA is going to be talking at their meeting this month about what to do with some of these high demand volume pieces. It was kind of interesting to hear from OMPA's side that the excess capacity in the system from OMPA's standpoint is only about 20 megawatts that they have on a peak demand day that is not allocated to a city currently. Well, they've got 750, 800 megawatts of electricity, and they've only got the small margin of 20 megawatts. Well, these cryptocurrencies and these grow houses, their demand numbers of what they're wanting to pull out of electricity, they can talk 15, 18, 20, megawatts. Well, one of those across any of the OMPA cities would eat up all of the excess capacity that's there on peak demand days, and that's the key. At the peak demand, the highest point. So, OMPA is looking at it, and how that's going to play out to everything that we do will be interesting, and will be a piece that has to be considered. The other thing that was discussed that I might as well mention because it'll be coming up on next meeting is looking at adding a new commercial demand rate for the city. Right now, we have our large industrial rates. What we don't have is a defining factor at where we would start implementing demand rates. And so we've been working with OMPA. John's put together a pretty good proposal for us, and we've been through the numbers. We've crunched it to be, what is revenue neutral for us as we adjust between passing on demand and passing on what actual rates are. One of the things that we kicked around and discussed, and one of my biggest issues whenever it comes to setting these rates and whenever it comes to how we're going to do these things is making sure that we put it out. If we're getting charged for it, we need to pass that portion on. For instance, right now we're only passing on about $5 per demand for demand KW. Well, we're getting charged from OMPA almost $10 per demand. So, in looking at it, I said, that means that some people are subsidizing others when this whole thing comes to pass. What I want to avoid is a subsidy from one group to another in any way that we can. So whenever we redesign rates, and what you'll see and hear in the presentation at the next meeting is we're going to try to mirror that piece where if demand is getting charged, we're going to pass through the demand cost, just like we do on the fuel. Whenever we get a fuel rate adjustment, we pass through the fuel cost. So we're going to try to get as much in line with our utility bill as we can. If we're getting charged for it, it's driven by demand, we're going to pass that demand rate on at $9 instead of at $5. Does that make sense? You guys will see it next meeting, and hopefully it'll make a little more sense. But our whole goal is to reflect in our charges exactly what we're paying on the wholesale side. And this will get us really close to that piece. Matter of fact, with the new demand level, setting the new demand meters at 200,000 kilowatts a year, and we'll look at that on a trailing year basis. We have almost 30 customers that will contribute to that demand factor. The interesting part in that is there's a range in that demand piece that ranges from about 26% utilization to about 75% utilization. The higher the percentage we use of that demand, the better off you are, meaning that you don't get big spikes, and that's what we're looking at. So those that don't give us a great peak load, they don't use the majority of their peak month in and month out, they're going to have a little higher rate whenever this demand kicks in than those that use the 70%, and are consistently at that level. It was, and John, he's worked up a great slide, and he'll show it to you next time. But it gives a real picture of what it really cost us. On a 40,000 kilowatt load person, potentially one customer right now is paying 5 cents per kilowatt, and another customer is costing us 8 cents, not paying, is costing us 5 cents to provide the electricity. Another one is costing us almost 8 cents to provide that electricity. So what we want to do is we don't want customer A subsidizing customer B's electricity. And this plan and what we're putting in place will get rid of that problem. So if you're costing us 8 cents, you're going to pay the 8 cents to get it. If you're costing us 5 cents, you're going to pay the 5 cents to get the electricity. So I'm really excited about where it's come and what's going to be there. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out to you guys. It's not in my numbers, but it's a big step for what we're trying to do. And it's a big step to get us, hopefully, better aligned with what we have. With the new software, we implemented AMI, 2 years ago, and finally we're getting to the point that we can really start utilizing the data that's in that system. We now have 20 months worth of information on consumption that data junkies like myself love to do this. In the past where we would do utility rate study, we would, in these changes, we just go out and just throw a number at the wall and go, yeah, that ought to be close enough. Heck no. Now we can download consumption by month. We can download it by every hour if that's really what we wanted to do. But bottom line, we can download those pieces. We can see exactly what the peak demands are. We can see exactly where those points are that we really want to emphasize. And really, thank you spreadsheets, but I mean, with a couple of changes in a couple of cells, I mean, we could formulate 3 or 4 different scenarios out of those pieces. So it's really nice. So AMI has its benefits, and I'll tell you that I'm singing its praises at this point because we can look at and we get that data and we can utilize that data now. And so this rate adjustment and what we'll talk about next meeting will really kind of bring that to fruition. And it'll be the first real project that we do with data from the AMI side. Sorry, that was more than just financials, but there's a couple of hot things going on that I thought you guys needed to know about. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Any other questions for Russ? Hopefully not.
Thanks, Mayor.
My report's more colorful than yours.
I'm gonna have to step up my game, I guess, with, 5 pages in color. Is that what it's gonna take? I'll let the city manager outdo me on that.
Item 8, consider nominations and appointment for Ward 1, Post 1 council person. Hearing none, seeing none, we will move to item 9, items pertaining to the City of Perry's application for the funds to purchase a new fire truck pursuant to the FY22 Cdbg Community Revitalization Grant, including A, discussion and action to approve Citizens Participation Plan, B, discussion and action to approve resolution number, do we have numbers for these?
Yeah, 2022A and the other one's 2022B.
Okay, 2022A, to make CDB application, and discussion and action to approve resolution 2022B to determine the leverage amount of the CDBG application. Bryce?
Well, the Citizens Participation Plan, we kind of went over that in the public hearing that we had at 6 o'clock. You read the background to that item, and we had no members of the public here to comment. There were no people that commented from the council either. And that needs to be said at this meeting in public session. But this particular grant is to see if we can get a CDBG, Community Vitalization Grant, to help fund a new fire engine. As you know, our other fire engine is in for repairs, but it's 29 years old, and it's in real need of work, and it very well may be additional work. Now, with respect to the citizen participation plan is something that has to be adopted every time that that we have one of these CDBG plans, and it tells how the citizens can participate in this grant process. Now, the leverage amount, I don't know if you got these, but we must certify that we have $306,966.21. Somebody wants to write that down. That's 306,966.21. That's the amount of leverage that we're putting into that fire truck.
How do we come up with 21 cents?
I don't know, it's just the difference. We have, Russell submitted the estimate for the fire truck, and they determined what the best calculation, the best chance of getting the grant, and the leverage, the fire truck minus the leverage amount is the amount that we're going out for the grant. The grant will be approximately $300,000. You read in the minutes the issues, or excuse me, in the public hearing, the issues. This is really to benefit low and moderate income folks. We're going to apply for $300,000. The project is not likely to result in the displacement or relocation of any citizen. That's important to the federal government. We're going to have to match the truck and equipment with $306,966. The resolution authorizes the council will authorize the mayor to execute this resolution or these resolutions at the councilman. Will provide the technical assistance if any member of the public, particularly low and moderate income folks, want to submit a proposal. You know, the truth is these fire engines are very hard to get. In fact, Russell testified it's hard to get a opinion or an estimate of what they'll cost because they're all committed and these guys are not doing many quotes because they can't promise the engines for a period of time. But they did get us one. We could have Russell in a second come up and speak to that engine and the equipment that will be provided. And I think we said at the grant or at the public hearing that at the end of this, if we do get the grant, then there'll be another public hearing that the public can come and comment to. So those really are that is the minutes of what occurred in the public hearing, and it's necessary as a part of that to read that out. So subsection B is authorizing us to make the CDBG application, and B is to determine the leverage amount, and I've given that about 3 times. Russell, would you like to come up and comment on the engine and the equipment and kind of where that would put you?
Yeah, so one of the requirements that we had to do, obviously, in seeking out this the grant, what we were trying to do is get some cost estimates gathered together for the council to review. One of the hurdles we're up against here is when we say a stock truck that's just being it's being manufactured right now. There's no guarantee that truck is available to the city of Perry whenever it is completed and comes off the line available for purchase. What was re-emphasized the last time the sales representative was here was that because it is a stock truck, it is for sale the minute they start building this truck. So there's a chance that the truck that we're looking at would be available. The completion date for that specific type of truck that we had spoken about in previous meetings was in March. So here in the next couple of weeks, the job should be completed. Because it's a stock truck and it's one that obviously that manufacturer takes to different prospective buyers. It's what they call just like a show truck, right? So they'll drive it around different parts of the region and the nation here and try to sell that truck. So at any point in time, anyone that's ready to make a purchase for a truck can make that purchase right then, and then the availability of that truck goes away. And so if this specific model is what we go with, specifically because of the length and some of the size restrictions for our bay, if we sat down once this, if we were recipients of the CDBG grant, if we were to sit down and spec that truck where we draw out all of our requirements, we draw out everything that we need to fit our community, that build time is 390 days. So with any hopes, if this CDBG grant is successful and that truck is gone, and it looks like we can move forward with a truck that's going to be in that price range, our hopes are that engine 7 is being replaced, the pump, and it'll be in service, and it'll be a serviceable truck until we're able to take possession of it, if we had to build a truck. in order to keep that truck, and I will throw this in there as well, in order to find a specific truck that we want to purchase, it requires 5% money down. And if we apply 5% to retain that apparatus as ours, then we violate the federal grant rules of competitive bidding. So we can't just put our name on the side of that truck and vote for the grant.
Then they still parade it around and let people see it
They
at
still
other,
parade it
the other
around.
parts of the region.
That's right.
Any other questions for Russell? Thank you, sir.
Well, I always have the question, where will our $306,966.21 come from? And I know that again, I'm not against that at all, I just need to know.
Well, if we're gonna appropriate that money, then we need to tell the public too, because, I mean, today, if you pass this, the leverage resolution, we need to tell them where the money is coming from, so I totally agree, Russ.
Well, for this purpose, right now it'll come out of fund balance carryover. So we have a reserve that we've carried over from prior years. We'll appropriate out of that amount. What you will see then is when we start the budget for next year, you will see $306,000 as a capital outlay item in next year's budget, and it will effectively move the money back into our rainy day fund. So,
Well, I just didn't want to pay that $300,000 that you had at that one meeting.
yeah, so, no, this will, it will show up in the FY. We have to appropriate the money today, whenever we sign the resolution of the pledge. At this point, we will appropriate the money out of fund balance. What we will do is, in next year's budget, then we will include it as a capital outlay item and just move the appropriation from fund balance to capital outlay. So we will be spending our $300,000 that we have to spend on capital projects for next year. This is what it'll be spent out of.
So hopefully we won't have any other capital.
Hopefully, we don't have any other capital requests, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So, these grants usually have a end date or sunset, so that everything has to be complete. Does that 391 days fit within that window?
Yes, yeah, we'll have,
Was it 91?
yeah, we'll have effectively 2 years to
2 years.
get rid of, to spend the money, once we get it.
And our chances, we have a chance of getting it. It all depends. They have more money being put in the program. And the word that I heard was 60% more. But, and Marita said at this point, she kind of knows what some of the other applications are. So, we've got a reasonable chance of getting it. But, if I was putting odds on it, I would say it's probably more like 50-50, I mean, because I've heard her say before, this one's good, and so, I mean, there's places that will get points, there's places that will take away points because we've had a Cdbg grant before, and because although we do meet the threshold of low and moderate income here, we just meet, which is good because we can file, but which is bad because it would be nicer if we're poorer, but that would be bad too. So, I mean, it's probably good that we are where we are, but how it works. That's the way it works in the grant game. So, I mean, then back to what Russell's thinking about, the ability to do the mission of the Perry Fire Department. And he, of course, sees this truck that meets the specs and would love it if we could, buy it now and put our dibs on that truck. It's just you can't do that because, you gotta wait for the grant and then you've gotta go out for bid and then if it's available. And I dare say, knowing the way trucks are, it probably will not be available. I would put that at a higher percentage chance that it won't be available. But, you know, that's what you're looking at right now. We're making choices based on how much money we have, how much we have to spend, and the ability to get grants. This is a way we can get a grant for a fire truck, so that's good, and we haven't filed for anything else, so that's our plan, right, Russ?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Bryce, are we?
Each one of these you're approving.
Yes.
You're gonna approve the citizen participation plan, then 2022A, and then 2022B, and you're gonna put that leverage amount, whoever wrote it down is gonna put that leverage amount in their motion.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said. Sorry.
No, please repeat that.
I don't know why my watch does that.
What is the current repair status on,
Right now, we have no updates. Again, the last time I spoke with him 2 weeks ago, he said we were still 6 to 8 weeks out.
On parts, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But they were able to get all the parts, they feel like?
The vendor that he ordered from allowed 6 to 8 weeks. But, I mean, I can,
Well, I just want to make sure you knew what you were saying. So we don't really even know if we're going to get the parts, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know, you know,
Yeah.
he's telling me what he's being told by the vendor that sells the center section of the pump.
cool. All right, item A. Discussion and action to approve the citizen participation plan.
Motion to approve citizens participation plan.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
yes,
Stroller.
Yes. Item B, discussion and action to approve the resolution number 2022A to make a Cdbg application.
Motion to approve resolution number 2022A to make CDBG application.
Roll call, please. Oh, you need a second, I'm sorry.
did,
Who had a second?
did that need the total?
No.
I know the second.
I'll second.
Okay, sorry.
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes,
and Stroller.
Yes. Item C, discussion and action to approve resolution number 2022B to determine the leverage amount for the CDBG application, which is $306,966.21.
I make a motion to approve the resolution 2022B to determine the leverage amount for the CDBG application in the amount of $306,966.21.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Goldar,
yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Thank you very much, council. Item 10, consider approval of ordinance number 2022-05 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 12 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 by the addition of a new Article 7 entitled Fence and Wall Regulations, providing for a section of 12-107 entitled Definitions, providing for a section 12-702 entitled Preliminary Requirements, providing for a section 12-703 entitled Setback and View Restrictions, providing for section 12-704 entitled Vacant Lots, providing for section 12-707 entitled General Standards and Regulations, providing for section 12-706 entitled Pre-Existing Fences and Walls, providing for section 12-707 entitled Exemptions, providing for section 12-708 entitled Violations, providing for a repeater, saving codification, severability, penalty, and declaring emergency.
Well, I do want you to know that I drove around the city of Perry quite a bit since our last council meeting. And in the northern part of the town, I found no front fences at all except the one just off of 11th Street North. But down the end of Cedar Street and down in Delaware, down toward the park in West Perry, I did find some front fences that looked pretty bad, but they were front yard fences. And most of them, the fences just go up to the house. So I do think somewhere there was a deal that said you could not have a fence in your front yard because of fire regulations. You had to get to your house with a fire truck. So, but I just was curious after I said that, and there just is very few front yard fences. But
Derek, you just kind of turn in your ordinance.
Well, I read through the changes. There's still the one piece about, Bryce and I kind of talked about, I don't have a suggestion, but I struggle with leaving things up to perception, or I don't know if that's the right word, or even the word I used with Bryce, but around when you determine if it's 50% and it needs to be replaced or repaired versus or I don't remember the exact wording, but basically replaced versus being able to repair it. And I know Brian would be reasonable. That doesn't mean next year the next person will be reasonable or anything like that. So
Let me ask you something, Bryce. If a code official goes out and says, "Hey, that fence looks dilapidated. You gotta replace it," don't they have a right to repeal that to someone, the homeowner?
Well, I mean, they can always ultimately bring it to the manager and bring it to the city council, you know. We were really talking about that, I don't know if I was talking about, I was reading about it. The Oklahoma Association of Municipal Attorneys has this email chain that they do, and somebody talked about appeals from the decision of the building code official. And there's provisions in the International Building Code and the like about that. And we have the Building Code Board of Appeals, which does handle some things. Does that not handle? Yeah, that handles appeal, or doesn't handle appeals from your decision?
Depending on what we're enforcing out of. So they would handle an appeal for anything that is building or residential code related. The property maintenance code, which is really what fence repair would kind of fall under. And I believe that one, it's one of the insert jurisdiction here. And I believe in our ordinance, it's been spelled out pretty clearly that would be this body. I want to say something, and of course this falls back under the, well, I'm a reasonable person.
sorry, I didn't.
No, you're fine. Like, and I'm trying to come up with a scenario where I'm lying to you. I've never, I am, because I'm sitting here going to myself, I've never, like, the 50% rule is a good rule of thumb to have. And the reason is for non-conforming things. If right now because I don't know if we have a date in there where all fences have to come in compliance. Is that in there, Bryce?
Yeah, March 21st today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I've never seen a tornado in person, but I've never seen one, in theory, take out 51% of a fence. Either the whole thing's gonna go or it's not. And I gotta be honest with you, whether it's me or it's 20 years from now, if somebody has that kind of time that they're out there calculating the square footage of that fence and what's left, man, they got a lot of time on their hands.
Well, and I think that's, maybe kind of part of the kind of where I'm coming from with this is, it leaves it up to you
Sure.
to have to spend the time to calculate the value of the fence and how much damage is done to the fence, whether it's just through weather or an event like you're talking about, which is still weather, but, and then calculate, I mean, that's a lot of calculation, a lot of time spent trying to figure that out. And again, I'm just trying to think of on that part, a better way to do that. The other thing, again, comes back to time, and that's where I was gonna ultimately end, is we spoke about kind of some of the other duties as assigned, things that you're also taking on, and I know some of the other things that are in that jurisdiction are already very time consuming, and is this truly something that we want to take on as well? You know, either for you or, I don't know who that question's completely, is directed
Well, and
solely at you or.
to answer part of what I mean, the season that we're in right now with one person wearing so many hats, it's a season. Inevitably, we'll have to navigate our way out of that. But like Larry kind of spoke to, fighting a building official it's not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, we'd go grab somebody right now, but I don't know that we'd be any better off than we are with just one guy that knows how to do it, being busy. The only thing that I could think of is if you want to change the language on the percentage portion. So if a fence is completely destroyed, or strike that, I don't know. But you would think, saying completely destroyed, when's the last time you saw a fence completely destroyed?
Right.
But if you lower it, you're in the same boat as 50%.
As I said,
Or you eliminate it.
well,
And then you go off the previous section that says all pre-existing fences or walls should be maintained in good condition. And so, you go, hey, not good condition, bring it up,
right.
to the correct condition.
It's still at the discretion of the.
It's
Yeah.
still at the discretion, but
Yeah.
it does not require a replace.
Right,
In that
it
instance.
doesn't require,
It could still be repair and left at that portion could be left at the discretion.
even
of the
at
owner,
the 60% or whatever.
as long as there's not an argument between the owner
Correct.
and you.
But, we can do that. I don't think that hurts it.
There does need to be a definition of what is disrepair and what is not at that point then. Probably.
That's kind of hard to put to work.
Yeah, that's where the 50% definition
I
came
know,
in.
that's what I.
Yeah, because you don't want somebody walking up, two panels are missing and be like, it's a dilapidated fence.
And I think, that, I guess really, beyond just that, I was going to the whole deal, does this help you? Or does it just take up more time by having this ordinance in place?
It does both.
Okay.
And the reason being is that right now, we don't have anything, short of the view obstruction, to clearly define what regulations we're trying to impose here. So it would make my life exceedingly harder, and I'll give you the example without pointing out where it's at. There's well, no, I won't. There's several makeshift fences not out of the materials on that list right now that people did just to kind of put their nose in the air. We all know that's not going to last. We all know that it's unsightly, and I get more calls about those particular things than that's the time-consuming part.
Sure.
So it does both, just to be honest with you, because it is more review time that we have to spend on that. However, it does, and we've talked about the importance of aesthetics before, it does shore that up
Yeah.
a lot on fences.
You just did spur another thought I had.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
She even.
The materials, I don't know if there's a use by review kind of thing, but, sometimes, I think one thing that was specified at one point was pallet material. And sometimes those things do get used in creative ways and properly, maybe on a downtown revitalization type, or so, just trying to throw something out where unique things get done.
Sure.
And I don't know that we allow for that with this ordinance.
So that ordinance is just, in any ordinance, it's the general rule of thumb. There are always means of appeal.
Sure.
And that's where your BOA would come in. Right, Bryce? That would be the exception to a zoning ordinance.
Well, there's a section in the code about appeal procedures for permits. It's a general section.
Okay.
It's in business, and there would be an appeal, because there's an appeal from any regulation. But, the councils mostly don't like to hear that, because But you were talking the other day about Enid and sidewalks and how everybody, they put a regulation in place, and then every council meeting, there's 5 people that want exemptions from the requirements of putting sidewalks in front of their place, and it's just the sidewalk section on the agenda. And councils get tired of that, but folks have a right. If they don't feel that the code official or any of us are correct, you have a right to go. We right now have someone that feels we are wrong, that they have sued us now 3 times. We have won twice, or we've won once, and one of them is sitting there ready to be ruled in our favor, and they went ahead and filed a new lawsuit on it, and that has to do with code. At some point, we'll visit with everyone about that. We'll put that on the agenda and visit about that. But therein lies the ultimate rule, and that is the right to take it across the street. That's been going on for 2 years now, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, council, what are you going to do with this ordinance?
Is this ordinance for residents only, not,
Industrial or commercial?
right?
It exempts agriculture.
It exempts agriculture, otherwise it
Right.
applies across the board.
So if it was zone commercial, they couldn't put a fence taller than 8 foot.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Without use by review, right?
Yeah, without some kind of request for a variance
Yeah.
to that term.
And that is pretty standard in most places.
And that's what they do. They'd seek to vary it and say
Right.
that for different reasons it needs to be higher. They have lots of theft. It actually needs to be higher because their property is low, and up above it you can see it doesn't do the function of what a fence is supposed to do.
Council?
I got 2 thoughts real quick. First, in general, I do like it. I think anytime we try to beautify the town, it's a very good thing. 2 concerns for me is just as an ignorant new homeowner, it's often hard to find out what we actually need to do to be in compliance with things. So if we do this, I hope, if you Google, I'm building a fence in Perry, Oklahoma, this comes up pretty quick, so we know this is exactly what we're looking at. Or if we go on the City Hall website, things like this, it's easy to find out, oh, I do need a permit, and these are all the steps I need to jump through. And kind of related to that, I'm still worried about this fine every day that you're out of compliance. I certainly think we do need some kind of motivation to get people to do stuff. But again, speaking as the ignorant homeowner that I am, if I don't know something's going on, and I'm suddenly in violation, and it's Friday night, and I can't do anything about it, and I've got, kids' birthday parties on Saturday and Sunday, I've got community things I'm doing, it could be the middle of next week before I can legitimately get to this, and desire to change everything to be in compliance. But now I could rack up, a $500 fee for, and again, this just goes back to how much do we trust the people doing this?
Well,
and I trust you personally, I'm thinking, 10, 15 years from now.
sure.
And
Well,
a legitimate example would, not too long ago, I don't know what the scenario is like right now, but you couldn't get pickets. There was a period there where you just couldn't get pickets.
Right.
So, in that case, if you had a dilapidated fence and you couldn't get pickets, what would that course of action look like?
well, and that's, so, answering on 2 points there. The second one, just like Bryce said at the last meeting, everything in that realm goes through him. And I think any attorney, whether it's Bryce or, Joe Blow 20 years from now, worth his salt is gonna be like, you have too much time on your hands if you're writing a citation every single day.
Right.
I have to sign for anything to be filed in the court. I have to approve it.
And the judge still has to find it
And I
reasonable.
have, and it's me, but I have never approved filing of a citation against anybody more than once a month. And the times that I've done once a month are in 36 years are less than 5 times.
Right.
And that was just to really get compliance. But, you know, it's boilerplate language that you put in here. If you don't like that, we can cross that out. If you don't like C, we can cross that out. I think what you're saying is you'd like to have a regulation
Correct.
in place. And, you know, and it go, and, you know, I mean, we only have, well, we have 6 votes now, right? So it will be, you know, this is either gonna pass or it's not, you know? There was some, you know, there was some opposition discussion, you know, at the last time. I think we have cleaned it up a lot, and that's because of Derek, who improved this dramatically and needs to be, you know, commended for reading his documents we give him. But, you know, it's either gonna pass or it's not. If it doesn't pass, we won't bring it back up. And if you wanna approve this, we're striking 12706C and the last sentence of 12708, then, you know, that will at least get something, you know, on the books.
The one-
What's the general cost for a permit?
I mean, that's a hard one to say, because the prices vary, but on a residential permit for something of this nature, I think $25 plus the state gets their cut, so that's $450, well, $29.50 altogether. But they go as low as $10, and then I think on residential ones, 25 is I think that's the highest one that we have. No, 50 if you're building a garage or a shop, so.
And I think we did discuss the survey thing, striking the survey part. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did.
It
Yeah,
has-
I eliminated, I added, in the event of an issue from an adjoining neighbor about the location of the fence or wall,
Right.
a survey. So, you know, what you're doing is trying to stop litigation there, you know?
Right.
And if somebody's there, then you would, otherwise, we wouldn't require the survey.
The problem is we would, I think we discussed, is that we would already have approved the permit before we would ever know that there was an issue.
But there, and
In a lot of
even
cases.
to a permit issuance, there's means of appeal.
Okay.
Now, depending on what the objection is, depends on where it would go.
If I had a permit, like you signed, you did the permit, I went out, put all my posts up in a day, some neighbor comes home, has an issue with it, even though I had the permit, then I'm out the permit money and out the fence, everything that I put up?
Correct. Which they could do that now. I mean, that wouldn't be anything new. But, and I'll put it this way, we had.
I'm just saying this line in here wouldn't solve any of it.
Well, what it actually says is that a survey may be required.
Yep.
You know, we may go out there and go, no, there's the pin, there's the pin. You know, this is a issue between the 2 neighbors, and we've issued the permit, and we're not gonna require it in this.
Yeah, I mean, that takes responsibility of the guy putting the fence up.
Yeah.
You know, if he just goes out there and throws the fence up, doesn't pay attention to where it's at, it's on the neighbor's property, that's his problem.
Well, and I will say this, because at first, when I saw that language, it gave me some pause. And I would say, in Enid, the way that we always ran, we're not surveyors, we're not guaranteeing that if you're on your neighbor's property, that's a private dispute between you two. I do like that Bryce put that in there, though, because more often than not, we got that call, and it was like, okay, well, unless the fence is already up, hey, you know, your neighbor's disputing this, unless you want someone to appeal the permit, this might be the route you want to go.
Which is fine, but do we require it? Do you become,
I
do you want to become?
I'll be honest, I don't see a scenario where I would ever enforce that, just to be honest with you, I don't.
Okay. And that's the thing, do you want to become that mitigator?
No.
You know,
Nope.
and that kind of, by possibly requiring it. Not that you ever would, is
Sure.
what you just said, but.
And again, though, I mean, I think we talk about boilerplate language, that's probably not a bad option in the event that something is ever disputed. But no, I don't ever see a scenario where I would request one. The one thing I was going to say, and this is just probably an aside, talking about the whole means of appeal, I serve on Unit's Board of Adjustment as well. There was a non-for-profit that was wanting to build restrooms and I believe it was just a rest area for the homeless out behind a business that they own. But because and the building permit was issued, everything's getting ready to go. A lot of the surrounding neighbors got together, found out what it was for, read the notice, decided we don't like it. They appealed to the city. They actually appealed the permit being issued on a zoning violation. So it was set to come before us, and they decided to kill the project. But it's just one example of how things like that are possible. I feel like these intense stares are because you love this idea, right?
I still think we need to spend 2 and 3 hours on this project. We should probably spend an hour the other night just on this one.
All right, motion to approve, let's go.
You can make a motion and we can vote it down and be dead. We gotta do something.
Can we make sure that we take out that last sentence in 708?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, just make that,
Because if you're not gonna charge it, then why have it on there?
yeah. I think that's legitimate.
Now, are we changing it from daily to a certain period of time, or we're just getting rid of it altogether?
No, we're just taking that each day the violation should constitute, we're just taking that
Okay.
language out.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that you can't, just means that it's not automatic.
Okay.
Right. What's the other?
That one was page 4, 12706C. So that if somebody's fence was damaged to the tune of 60%, they wouldn't have to tear it all down and start over. They could repair what's been damaged.
That's what we did when the tornado took out all of our fence.
Go ahead.
No, were you in the middle of a motion, or what?
I was just clarifying that everyone wants to take that last sentence off of 708, and are we saying that we want to get rid of the 706C?
Or I think, at least what Bryce suggested was to reword it.
To 60?
It was more to, if deemed dilapidated, wasn't it? Or,
Well, I mean,
What are you
you don't have to have a standard for non-conforming fences. You don't have to have that.
you strike it, basically.
You just strike it. Yeah. I mean, I think you make the point. Are we measuring land? You say, that's almost 49. Nah, I say it's 50, replace it. I mean, it's just, we don't need it to do
what this is seeking to accomplish.
What this is trying to do. We don't need it. And so, we use a surgeon's scalpel to to cut those things out because they're not absolutely needed.
Should we? Should we change B to?
Now, I would put a period after good condition.
And should we include pre-existing and any fence that fits within this after?
I like B. I think it's fine.
Okay. Except for.
Well, this section is on pre-existing fences.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's good. I think a
Yep.
period after good condition X out the rest so it doesn't get to
Yeah.
that non-conformity language and then just take C out.
Okay.
Or don't we want it to, okay, never mind, I got you.
You know, we don't have enough to do the emergency. So, we don't have enough votes, so we wouldn't vote on that either, which would mean that it wouldn't be effective until.
So we'd have to change the dates and.
No, we don't change the dates, just won't become effective until the month, a month after it gets published. So, I mean, it's perfect. You just take out the emergency off the ordinance. You don't have to do that. You just don't have enough votes to pass it, so.
Bill, do you want to hold it over?
No. I don't have this discussion again.
Well, it might be good to print the whole thing in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And I'll also take out all the underlines and deletions.
I think in a lot of our codes, and I mean, you got legitimate complaints, I agree with you, okay? But there's a lot of stuff in our codes that are due to interpretation and that are at the discretion of our code officials. So I think you have made you've bettered this, and we appreciate it. But I think that it's like all of our other codes, we have to trust in our code officials.
And it's not all stuff that we write either. I mean, it's not.
No, I agree 100%.
It's not just language that we're putting
I mean,
in.
we could be here, if we go through our code book, we could be here for days trying to.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, the International Building Code does not come from people within this room.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the same way.
Reword this motion.
Do something.
So, motion to approve ordinance number 2022-05, amending section 12706B, the period after good condition, excluding the rest of that sentence, excluding item C, and on section 12708, excluding the last sentence under violations. Does that give you enough?
Yes, that's good.
Second.
Roll call, please. I'm going to ask for discussion.
Marshall.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dilbeck. Yes. Vaughn.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Item 11, consider payment of $39,885 to Interstate Electric Corporation for materials and labor for rebuilt of the U.S. Peerless 60-horse vertical motor, vertical turbine, 4-stage pump for the water production facility and waive competitive bidding pursuant to Chapter 7, Section 7-111 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022. So this is one of the pumps we've had at the water plant that we do like a routine maintenance and
Yes,
trying
sir.
to get them all fixed up.
We budget $40,000 every year to keep up that maintenance. And we pick out one each year. There's 6 out there, and we take one each year. At least for the first 6 years. And after we've got them all rebuilt and then rehabbed, then we'll probably extend that a little bit, but we won't wait 20 years like we have in the past.
Motion to approve. Payments.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Marshall.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dilbeck. Yes. Vaughn.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item number 12, accept the Perry Carnegie Library roof project and authorize payment to the Champion Roofing in the amount of $49,750.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Marshall.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dilbeck. Yes. Vaughn.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item 13, consider approval of public construction contract with Horseshoe Construction Incorporated in the amount of $549,785 for the citywide sanitary sewer Phase 5 capital improvement project. This sewer line will run from 9th Street, kind of wind over to the east, end up out there by the football field or the softball field or somewhere out there.
Mr. Mayor, we haven't received that contract in bonds yet, that's correct, right? And so we're not prepared to approve this. We have received a number of our easements, temporary construction. I need to go over that and make sure what we have.
We'll entertain a motion to table
Continue.
item 13,
Or continue to the next.
Continue.
Motion to continue until the next meeting unless we don't receive all the information needed.
Great, okay, perfect.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item 14, accept work on the drainage maintenance and repair project near the Stillwater Medical Center Specialty Clinic, Perry, and authorize payment to Boyd Construction in the amount of $106,500. They went in there and repaired that big drain pipe that runs all the way underneath Fur and underneath that parking lot and then back south towards the armory. There's a section of that pipe they went in there and replaced. And they did a great bang-up job. I went in there several times and looked at it, and they did a great job.
And we had Will Sheets out there the whole time because it was a touch-and-go project. As you remember, we talked about possible damage to that building and the way they went in and brought the stuff out. They did a good job, and special credit goes to Will Sheets for assisting us on that project. He is I'm learning that guy's really, really good and really good for this community.
I'd make a motion to accept the work on drainage maintenance and repair project near Stillwater Medical Center Specialty Clinic, and authorize payment to Boyd Construction in the amount of $106,500.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item 15, consider approval of budget amendments to the City of Perry's FY 2021-2022 general fund budget and other budgets.
Net change of these budget amendments is $23,000 decrease. It really is made up of, as I mentioned, the sales tax increases earlier. That was on Affiliated Foundation, our family foundation's money in grants and the ARPA money. Go ahead and put that in the budget. Money, we are not going to declare how we're going to use that until after April 1st. Once we get to April 1st, we'll declare that as lost revenue and then turn around and make appropriations out of that money. But right now, we're just budgeting the income coming in here. As far as the expenses go, you guys can see most of those are grant matches and grant pieces coming out along with the purchase of the downtown property for $500,000 that we did with Wadley's. So that's the highlights of it. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Do we have a motion to approve the budget amendments?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you, council. Item 16, consider approval of an agreement with Oklahoma Department of Transportation for the placement of a Welcome to Perry sign on the east side of Highway 64, about 380 feet east of 25th Street.
Just a little background on this. I'm part of the LTAC, and the sign that they picked in here, we went to Zogger, Jeff Zogger, the tech ed teacher, and had his students all submit designs for the sign, and that's how they selected the design of the sign. And we'll be using some of the rock from the old elementary school to do it. Like it's at the junior high now on that side. Just a FYI.
Interesting.
So would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve item number 16.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 17, new business. Any new business that needs to come before the council this evening? Hearing none, we will move to 18. Do we have information?
Yes, we need to be.
Okay, all right. 18, consider convening into executive session to confer on a matter pertaining to the economic development of the city of Perry to discuss the proposal to entice the location of a residential developer to the community to build single-family dwellings, duplexes, and multifamily housing, and thereby approve the economic development of the city. As a public disclosure, the proposal will interfere with the development and implementation of the proposal. We're talking about the Woods Edition. Pursuant to 25 OS 307 C11 Oklahoma statutes as amended. Number 2, to discuss the appraisal and purchase of certain real property related to the Upper Black Bear Watershed Project pursuant to Title 25, Section 307B3 of the Oklahoma statute as amended. And number 3, to confer on a matter pertaining to the economic development of the city of Perry to discuss a proposal to remodel and extend the lease of the hospital and thereby approve the economic development of the city. As public disclosure, the proposal will interfere with the development and implementation of this proposal. Pursuant to 25 OS 7 or OS 307 C11 of the Oklahoma statute as amended. We have a
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Stroller,
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes. Okay.
You know, I was concerned about the ARPA, but you entered that.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion to reconvene, please.
In April.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Is there any action that needs to, pursue, take any action deemed necessary pursuant to executive session? Motion on adjournment 21.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yep.